The Shadows of Hollow Creek. Chapter 1. The Return. Lily Hawthorne hadn't set foot in Hollow Creek for over a decade. After her parents' tragic deaths, she had fled the small town, vowing never to return. But the letter she received last week changed everything. It was from an old friend, Martha Willis, who had stayed behind when everyone else had left. "Come back, Lily," the letter had said. "I've uncovered something about your parents' deaths. I can't explain in a letter. Please, hurry." As she drove into Hollow Creek, the once bustling town seemed eerily quiet. The townspeople were few, their faces gaunt, as if drained of life. The once grand oak trees lining the streets were now twisted and barren, their branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. Martha's house was at the edge of town, near the old forest that had always given Lily the creeps. She parked her car and knocked on the door. But there was no answer. The door creaked open, revealing a house steeped in shadows. Dust floated in the air, and the furniture was covered in white sheets. It looked like no one had lived there for years. "Martha," Lily called out, but the only reply was the echo of her own voice. Chapter 2. The Discovery. Lily searched the house, finding no sign of Martha. She noticed a faint light coming from the basement, a place Martha had always kept locked. As she descended the creaky stairs, she found the walls covered in old newspaper clippings and photographs, all centered around her parents' deaths. In the middle of the room, there was a large wooden chest, slightly open. Inside, she found a collection of journals belonging to Martha. The most recent entry caught her eye. "I finally found the proof. Lily's parents didn't die in an accident. They were murdered. The key lies in the old Willow Manor. I must get there before it's too late." Willow Manor was the old mansion on the outskirts of town, abandoned for years. It was notorious for its dark history and was believed to be haunted. Lily's heart raced. What had Martha uncovered, and where was she now? Chapter 3. The Hidden Truth. Determined to find answers, Lily drove to Willow Manor. The mansion loomed in the distance, its windows shattered and its walls crumbling. As she entered, she was hit by the overwhelming smell of decay. The air was thick, and the only sound was the creaking of the floorboards beneath her feet. She followed a narrow hallway that led to a large, dusty study. On the desk, she found a letter addressed to her. The handwriting was shaky, as if written in a hurry. "Lily, if you're reading this, it means I'm already gone. The truth is buried here, in this house. Your parents were not who you thought they were. They were part of something much darker, something that the town has kept secret for generations. Their deaths were not just a murder, but a ritual to bind the shadows that haunt this town. But the binding is breaking, and the shadows are growing stronger. You must finish what your parents started. The key lies beneath the floorboards." Lily's hands trembled as she pried up the floorboards, revealing a hidden compartment. Inside, she found an ancient book with strange symbols on its cover and a small, ornate dagger. The book was filled with incantations and rituals, all meant to keep the shadows at bay. Suddenly, she heard a noise behind her. She turned to see Martha, her face pale and eyes wide with terror. "They're coming, Lily," Martha whispered. "The shadows. They know you're here." Chapter 4. The Final Confrontation. Martha explained that the shadows were the spirits of those sacrificed in the rituals, bound to the town for eternity. The book contained the final ritual needed to banish them for good, but it required a willing sacrifice, someone of the bloodline that started it all. As the shadows closed in, their whispers growing louder, Lily realized the truth. Her parents had tried to end the curse but were killed before they could finish the ritual. And now it was up to her. "No, Lily," Martha pleaded. "There must be another way." But Lily knew there wasn't. She was the last of her bloodline, the only one who could put an end to the suffering. She took the dagger and, with Martha's help, began the ritual. The shadows screamed in rage, their forms swirling around the room, trying to stop her. As she completed the final incantation, the dagger in her hand glowed with an ethereal light. The shadows shrieked and were pulled into the dagger, disappearing one by one until the room was silent. Lily collapsed, her strength drained, but she was alive. The shadows were gone, and the town was free. Martha helped her to her feet, tears of relief streaming down her face. "You did it, Lily. You saved us all." Epilogue: The New Dawn. Lily left Hollow Creek the next day, knowing she would never return. The town was finally at peace, but the memories of what had happened there would stay with her forever. As she drove away, the first rays of dawn broke over the horizon, signaling a new beginning for the town and for her. She glanced at the passenger seat where the ancient book now lay. Though the shadows were gone, she couldn't shake the feeling that the story wasn't quite over. She had banished the darkness from Hollow Creek, but there were other towns, other shadows, and she knew she would be ready when they called.